Hello students, in this video we are going to study about the switching techniques. So let us know why we need to study these switching techniques and what are the different types of switching techniques. Okay, here you can see the switched network where the different number of nodes are there, but all these nodes are being interconnected with each other by using the networking device known as switches. Okay, these are all nothing but the switches, hence we can call it as a switched network. Now what are these switches? Why we need to study the switching techniques and all? Because switches are the devices, okay, which will make the temporary connection between two or more devices in order to make them communicate with each other. I can give an example. If I want two computer system to connect with each other, I need not to have any network device. Okay, only a single cable is enough, which is connecting one cable. One end of that cable will be connected to one computer, the other end of the cable is connected to the second computer, and after they are connected, easily they can exchange information. What if I have 50 computer system and all the 50 computer system wants to communicate with each other? Can a computer can have 50 wires or 49 wires to connect to the different computer system? That's highly impossible, right? So in order to make all those 50 computers to connect with each other, I need one communicating or the networking device which provides the temporary connection between all those computer systems so that they can easily have the communication. Same way in our computer lab also, 50 computers are interconnected with each other, not by establishing 49 different cables, by using different cables. Instead, we are using a device known as switch. Through that switch, we are able to connect the different computer systems. So because to make them to communicate, we need to study the switching techniques, and we have three different switching techniques: circuit switching, okay, packet switching, and the message switching. Okay, so let us study about the circuit switching. Now let me explain about this diagram. Now A wants to have the communication with C and B wants to have the communication with the C simultaneously. A wants to have communication with C as well as B wants to also have the communication with C. Now I can explain this one with an example of telephone system. So this circuit switching is extensively used in the telephone industries even now. How we are able to have the ringtone, at what time we will get the busy tone, at what time we get the message at right now all the routes are busy, so try once again. So that all technique we will understand under the circuit switching. Now think that A wants to have a communication with C. Okay, so when A dials the phone number of C, that phone number signal will first go to the switching node, which can also call as the public switch telephone network. Previously I have shown the slide where switches are the devices which are making the temporary connection. Now in this slide also, this is the device, PSTN, public switch telephone network, or you can also call as switching node, which is helping all these 4 different computers to connect with each other, so that temporary connection, so that they can communicate. Okay, that phone number first reaches to the switching node. Switching node will send a signal to the destination. It will send, maybe in this switching node, this is not the range to directly reach to the C. So it will send the signal to the nearest switching node, or it might be only one switching node also. Okay, so it may send the signal to the nearest switching node. Nearest switching node will send those signals to check out whether user C is free or no. If he is free, a physical connection will be established. Already all these 4 people are connected with wires. All landline phones are having the cables, and all mobile phones are wirelessly connected. Here the connection may be wired based or it might be the wireless based. Okay, but when the switching node finds the user C is free and they can have the communication, it will first establish the link. Already cable is there, only they will try to establish the link. Once the link is established, then a ringtone will be heard at the user C. Then he will lift the call and then the conversation starts. Okay, this is one scenario. The next thing is, suppose at the same time B wants to communicate with C. Okay, same time B wants to communicate with C. Then B, when it dials the phone number, it will go to the switching node. Switching node may directly contact to C, or it may send the signal to the next switching node. Okay. Next switching node again will send the signal to C to find out whether C is free or no. Now C is not free. He is busy with other call. That time PSTN will understand, or switching node will understand that user C is busy. Then this switching node will reply to this node, and this node will send a busy tone to the user B. That's how you will come to know that C is having a conversation with the other call. Okay. Now suppose that A is having a conversation with C, B is having a conversation with D. Now two more devices I'll assume, that is, here is E and here is F. Here is E and here is F. Now all fall in the same area. Okay. Now cables links will be less. Now right now 4 devices are connected and they are making use of the single link. Same way, 2 more devices, E wants to have a communication with F. I'm just assuming here is the one more device E and here is the one more device is F. Okay, so E wants to have communication with F. E will send a signal to this nearest switching node. Nearest switching node will try to find a link. Okay, before you transmit before the conversation start, link has to be established in the circuit switching. So when it will start finding the links are already being occupied by the different users. Cables will not be many. Cables will be very few. Okay. So, but cables will be having certain channels into it. Only so many. Right now, only 50 users can use that channel. Or depends on capacity. 100 users, 100 different people can have a telephone call. Not all the population cannot have. In the area, if it is population is around 7,000 in particular area, all 7,000 can simultaneously cannot make use of a telephone's wires. Okay, maybe that capacity is around 100 people can communicate at a time. Now E wants to have communication with F. When the dial tone comes to the switching node will not find any of the link to contact to the F. In that case, switching node will reply back to E as all the routes for this line is busy. I hope you have heard this one. All the routes reaching to the F is busy. That is why, okay, this is how exactly the circuit switching works. Before you transmit any of the data, first you make sure that link is being established. So let me explain that circuit switching, in this technique, first the complete physical connection between the two computers is established, and then the data has been transmitted from the source computer to the destination computer. That is, when the computer places a telephone call, the switching equipment within the telephone system seeks out the physical copper path all the way from the sender telephone to the receiver telephone. That means whenever they want to have to transmit the data transfer from the source computer to the destination computer, first it will seek the communication establishment through the copper wire. Okay, the important property in this switching technique is to set up the end-to-end connection. Before having an end-to-end connection, no data transfer will be done in case of the circuit switching. So in the circuit switching, 3 phases are very important. First phase is a circuit establishment. Then after circuit establishment, data transfer will be there. Next, once the data transfer is there, then the circuit disconnection is also important. Okay, as I said, A is communicating with C and B is communicating with the D. Okay, once A and C finishes its conversation, the link establishment will be disconnected. After some time, E will make again a phone call to the F wants to communicate. Then again a signal will reach to the switching node. Okay, then switching node will find a link, a free link it will find, and then it will contact to the F. If F is free, then a ringtone will be heard at the other end. This is how exactly the circuit switching works. Now let us move on to the let us study the next second switching technique, that is the message switching. In this technique, what happens is the sender will send the data to the destination, but before it reaches to the destination, your data will first reach to the switching office. Okay, the switching office will store your data and examine for the source and the destination address. Depending upon that, it will forward your data to the next switching office. Again, the next switching office will store your data. Depending upon the source and the destination, it will forward to the again next nearest switching office. That this process continues until it reaches to the destination. Okay, now let me explain this one with an example. This is extensively used in the telegraph system. Okay, where the telegraph system, it might be the courier or it might be a telegraph system which is currently working. They are using the message switching technique in order to transfer their data from source to the destination. Now let us consider the person who is residing in Hubli city is the sender and the person who is residing in Bangalore city is the receiver. So when he sends a, maybe he is sending one letter to the person who is residing in Bangalore. Once you go and drop your letter in the post office box, nearest post office, the postman from Hubli city will not travel every now and then to Bangalore and drop his letter. Instead, what that postman will do is, for some time, that postman will go to its nearest telegraph post office and he will drop your letter there. Okay, and that letter will stay in the post office for some time until the next postman comes and receives it. When the next postman comes and receives it, there will be many destination. Different people will be writing letters. Some letter may go to Mysore, some will go for Bangalore, some may have to go for Hyderabad. Depending upon the destination address, what that postman will do, he will forward that to the nearest post office, where that makes a path to reach to the Bangalore city. He will forward that letter to the next nearest post office. Again, when that your letter goes to the next nearest post office, it will stay there. It will get stored until the next postman comes and sees to the destination. Like this, your letter will be stored in the post office and then it will be forwarded depending upon the destination address. This process will continue until it reach to the destination, until it reach to the Bangalore city. This the main important concept in the message switching is the store and forward technique. Okay, message switching is also called as store and forward method. Now let me explain with an example. Now you are sending the data of 400 KB PDF you are sending from the source to the destination. Might be destination, maybe anywhere. Okay, that 400 KB, that is a packet. Okay, what is a packet? A packet is nothing but a small chunk of the data which consists of the actual message to be sent and also consists of the source and the destination address, isn't it? So that entire 400 KB will be forwarded to the next switching office. Now this switching office, I already have said, what are the switching office or the switches? They are the networking devices that is making a temporary connection in order to send your data right from the source to the destination. When that 400 KB of data packet comes to the nearest switching office, it will store the data into its buffer. Buffer is nothing but it's a memory. Okay, how in the post office we have that post office box, right, for them, where you will drop the letter, that is nothing but buffer. Same way here also, message, all those PSTM will be having certain memory so that those packets will come and store for some time until it is forwarded to the next next switching office. Same way that 400 KB will come and store in the buffer of its the switching office. Now next thing what the switching office it will do, it will see for the destination address. Depending upon the destination address, it will examine and forward to the next nearest switching office. When your 400 KB packet comes to this switching office, okay, it will store first your data. No, it will not examine immediately for the destination. It will store first, and then after storing, then it will see the destination address. Depending upon the destination address, it will forward to the next nearest. This process will continue until it reaches to the specific destination. This concept is nothing but the message switching. Now these switching offices might be using the networking devices known as switches. Okay, so message switching is also called as the store and forward method. I can explain you with one more example here. So let me show you a different slide here. Yeah, here you can see, okay, A, B, C, D. There are different 4 nodes. A wants to communicate with D and B wants to communicate with the C. Now I'll show you. M1 is the packet name, which consists of actual message, head, source and destination address. M1 will come to the nearest switching office. It will store. Depending upon the destination address, it will forward. It may come here. From here, it will again store and forward to the next. Again from next to next. It may reach. B wants to communicate with the C. Packet name is given as M2. It will reach to the switching office. It may take this path or this may take this path also, but I have taken with this path. This message may reach to, packet may reach to this switching office. Finally, it will reach to the destination depending upon the destination address. Now, what is the problem with this message switching? Why we need to go for the packet switching is, it requires more memory. Delay is more. Why delay? Because every time the packet comes to the switching office, it will store for some time, then forward it. That is the reason is the delay. One more thing is, it requires more memory capacity. Buffer capacity should be more in order to store the packets. See, when simultaneously A sends the first packet, think A sends the first packet, and that M1 will reach to this switching office. At the meantime, B sends its packet. When the packet, first it will go to the nearest switching office. Already M1 is there. M1 packet is there. Then this switching office will withhold this packet. Until this packet is moved to the next switching office, it will not accept, because its buffer size, it may be small. If it is small, then it will withhold the new incoming packets. Once it is moved, then only it will accept M2. And then M1 will reach to the destination. After M1 moves, then M2 will be stored here. Depending upon the destination, it will forward to the next nearest and next nearest to the next destination. This is the disadvantages in the message switching, is that the buffer size should be more, okay, and then more delays been there in case of the message switching. Okay, then let us see to the next one. But here one more advantages here is, efficiently traffic management will be done. No packets will clash with each other. Okay, there will be no congestion, no loss of data. Okay, because they are withholding those packets until they are being forwarded to the next one. They are not ready to accept. So there is no question of clashing of the packets, no loss of data. Okay, next we shall see the very important, okay, what today we are using is the packet switching network. Now in this diagram I can tell you that A is wants to have communication with C, and user B wants to have a communication with the D. Let me take with the 400 KB. A is sending a data of 400 KB. B is sending a data of 300 KB. Okay, now that 400 KB is being divided into 2 different packets. Okay, and each packet is having the actual data to be sent, source address, destination address, plus the sequencing number. We have already studied the packet switching technique in the ARPANET. Okay, a sequence number. Now the 400 KB is being divided into 2 different packets. Now maybe this is of 200 KB, this is of 200 KB, but this makes an entire one message of 400 KB. Sequence number given to it might be 1, sequence number given to it should be 2. Now here it is 300. 300 is divided maybe 150 each KB, and again here also sequencing number is being given. It might be 1 and 2 only, but for our reference let me take the sequencing number as here A and B as a sequence number I'll take. Okay, they are independent with each other. Okay, these packets will not follow one after the other. There may be multiple links. Okay, I'll show this one more slide. Yes, here you can see A, B, C and D, 4 devices. A wants to have the communication with the D. It is of, let me take here 300 KB packet is being divided into 3 different packets, and the sequencing number is given 1, 2 and 3. Now these packets are being left independently into the network. See here, you can see all these are nothing but they are the switches. These are the devices which are helping the these packets to reach from source to the destination. They are making the temporary connection, but they are all in turn connected with each other. Now first packet may reach to this switch may forward it to the next nearest. First packet may come to this switching or this switch and then forward to the destination. That might be the first packet. Second packet may take a long distance, right from here to, it may reach here, then here, then here. Meantime, the third packet directly from here, it may reach to the switching office, to this switching office, then it may reach here. Before the second packet reach, it might be the third packet to arrive at the destination first, and then the second packet may arrive at the destination. In case of packet switching, the packets are being given with the sequence number because before the entire packet is being merged and given to the destination, first they will get rearranged as per the sequencing number. First packet, second packet and third packet. It will rearrange and then forward this packet to, it will handle to the destination. This is how exactly the packet switching works. Here also I wanted to explain the same thing. Simultaneously user A and user B is trying to communicate with the C and B with the D, but they are using the same link. I already said in the in case of message switching, in case of circuit switching, links will be there. Might be at a time 50 users or might be at a time 100 users can use the same cable in order to transmit the data. Here also A and B are making use of the same path in order to send their data to the C and D respectively. Now when these packets are reached to the nearest switching node, now this switching node is having almost 4 different packets with a different sequence number but 2 packets of same destination. So looking at the destination address, it will forward to the next nearest node. Now these packets are quite independent. Now here I can show these packets are quite independent. They doesn't fix any of the path to reach to the destination as in case of circuit switching. In circuit switching, correct path is been which path the packets has to take, that is already it is already been established. So packets have to follow the same path. They cannot take any other different paths once the link is established. But in case of packet switching, packets may take any of the path in order to reach to the destination. They are completely free. They are independent. It may take long route, it may take short route or whatever. But here, while the time reaching to the nearest switching, the first users A first packet is the ones to reach. Maybe second is the users B packet. It might be A, and then might be A's second packet, and then might be users B's is a B packet, as I have given the sequencing number here A and B, and here 1 and 2. This is might be 1, this is might be A, this is might be 2, and this is might be B. Now depending when it reaches here, depending upon the destination address, this switching office will forward the correct packet. Now maybe here the second packet is the first one to reach, here might be the first packet. Now here it might be again the B packet, here it might be the C packet. But correct destination numbers packets are being forwarded. Now before handing over these 2 packets to the user C, depending upon their sequencing number, they will get rearranged, and then the entire data packet of 400 KB will be given to user C. And here depending upon the capacity, depending upon the sequencing number, A and B will be merged properly, and then it will make 300 KB and give the entire handle the entire packet to the destination correctly. So this is what is the packet switched network. Currently we are using the same thing in our current technology, internet calls or whatever calls we are having, video call and all, it's all working based upon the packet switching. Here the message is being broken into small parts known as the packets, and these packets are of fixed size. If I said 400 KB means each packet is of 200. It's not here as 150 and here it is again as a 250. No, or of same pack. And each packet is tagged with the source and the destination address. And this allows the packets to take variety of possible paths it is not having any fixed path to travel. Okay, a sequencing number is been added to each packet, so that the receiving end it is recorded by the sequence number, and the original message is been reconstructed before it has been handed over to the destination. So this is all about the packet switching networks. Okay, so this completes the switching techniques.